Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of It Starts With You. I'm the host, Anna Yoo, here with Sam Hyun. Sam is the co founder of 1587 Sneaker and Director of Government Relations for the Asian American Foundation. We were interested in how someone who was in such a position made decisions and how these views may be of impact. We were also interested in some dating advice to people in big cities today. Let's get started. So Samuel, can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. Sam Hyun. What I do is a lot of community work. Co-founded 1587 Sneakers. It's the first Asian American sneaker brand. Also, have just been doing a lot of government and nonprofit work for most of my career.
So what inspired you to do these government and non-profit works?
I think just realizing watching my mom raise her children as a single mom and how hard it was for her. Even though she worked 3 or 4 jobs, did everything right, the system wasn't helping her in any way. I wanted to make it work for people and make America live up to the promise that it said it would, that if you come here, you work hard, that you'd be able to achieve your dreams. And I just wanted to be a part of the solution as opposed to just complaining about it.
If people that are single mothers or people who are just struggling, if they come to your support system or organization or things like that, can they get support? Or
not necessarily through mine. It's more of what we are work. We support a lot of those nonprofit organizations that do direct services work. We don't do that. We're more of a funder, but there are a lot of direct services organizations that specifically cater to people in need.
That's interesting, actually, especially because you were inspired by your own story, right? Also, do you think that your personal story, like you just said, has inspired you to create your brand?
The reason why we started the brand was 2021, I was named one of the Bostonians of the Year by the Boston Globe. And in my interview, I said I wanted Asian Americans to be unapologetically ourselves. And that was because I felt like we've always been told who we can be, been told to shut up and sit down, and it's not our turn, we were the invisible race. And my business partner saw that and was like, I want to make a sneaker brand to support our community. And so that was why we started the sneaker brand.
Did people just point you out, in the Bostonian Globe? How did you get selected for that?
The editorial board selects people, and I don't know the entire process. I just know that I was one of the folks that they picked for that year.
In regards to how you take care of relationships and stuff like that too, can you give us some advice in regards to that as well? You were giving me some advice right now, right? So can you give us some advice?
Are you talking about from a platonic standpoint or romantic or?
I guess more, especially when we see dating in LA, we see a lot of toxic relationships. So what would you say as someone I feel like you're older than me. So assume that you are someone who's older than me. What kind of advice would you give to younger people?
I think we have this people think that they have to be in a relationship or they need to be with someone, and they haven't done any of the self-work or any sort of understanding of what it means to be a partner. And we make so many mistakes along the way. And sometimes you have to do it when you're actually in it. You learn by doing. But there are a lot of people that you can talk to figure out what that means. And I think what my worry for a lot of people these days is we approach relationships from an I standpoint. And so it's, what do I get out of it? How does it support me? How does it support, as opposed to how do I show up for my partner? How do they communicate? Or are we compatible? And am I in a mental and emotional state to be in a relationship in the first place? And I think a lot of times people stay in toxic relationships because they feel trapped, or they feel afraid of being alone, or they are just insecure about themselves in so many different ways. And you can't expect other people to care, love, and respect you if you don't care, love, and respect yourself. And I've seen so many young people just end up in really bad situations because they have no self-esteem, and then they become reliant on somebody else to provide that for them. But then you end up with a narcissist who is constantly bringing you down and
Yeah.
dangling and pushing and pulling. And I think really doing the self work to heal and be in a good place is probably the best thing you can do to actually be in a place to be in a romantic relationship.
That's a good point that you make in regards to narcissistic relationships as well. I feel like, especially because like narcissists can't identify themselves, right? So I used to read books on attachment styles and things like that. And in regards to my last relationship, I also had to read a lot of articles because I just didn't know where I was. That's a good point. But going back to your story, so were you born here?
I was born in Boston, born to Korean immigrants, and mom's from Busan and my dad's from Seoul.
Oh,
So
my grandma's from Busan
yeah,
too. Yeah, that's cool.
one of my favorite cities in the world. I was just there less than a month ago.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that really informed like who I am. I think just like the personality is, and because I was raised by my mom, my 할머니, that like her mom, and a lot of influence from I think Busan like
yeah,
culture, but also like East Coast. So most of my family grew up in New York. So like I'm actually my Korean name. I'm actually named after Flushing, and so I spent a lot of my youth just in Queens, Flushing, Boston, and I think that like really impacted like my personality.
In what way would you say?
I think like East Coast people are much more direct, and we say what we mean and we do what we say, and I think that's a big difference I've seen between East Coast and West Coast. Like a lot of care all the time, oh, let's collab, let's do this, and let's meet up, and then you don't hear from them, or they find out that you're doing something cool, and all of a sudden they're your best friend again. In Boston, New York, East Coast, it's like if I don't fuck with you, like I don't fuck with you, and they'll tell you to your face, like, hey, you're not my type of person. All good, but that's the thing. It's like we're just like straight up with each other,
Yeah,
and I can move on with my life, and they can move on with theirs.
yeah, yeah. I feel like the thing is that like sometimes with West Coast, it feels like everybody is like the same personality sometimes. And like sometimes including me. Like I admit that. I feel like sometimes I'm in like a stimulation or something. And then I realize that when someone comes into my podcast and starts talking about like other states and how their personality shows differently, I realize maybe I'm the one that's never really left the state. Because it's true, I've never really left California. So, yeah.
Yeah, I travel a lot for work, and I spend a lot of time in Korea. It's so interesting to like for work I actually travel all across the country and just different pockets, and you get to know people, you get to know why people think the way that they do and what drives them, and gives you a lot more understanding and empathy for people, and realizing like at the end of the day, a lot of us we want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be valued, and we find the communities and the spaces that provide that for us, and then we find shelter there. And a lot of it goes back to what I was talking about earlier about insecurity and finding self-worth, and oftentimes we put ourselves in like this like tribalistic states, and we think that we're so different than other people, when the truth is you peel back a lot of the superficial things and the stuff that society tells us why we're so different, we
Yeah.
realize we're actually a lot more similar than we are.
Yeah.
And we share a lot of the same values,
Yeah.
but because society tells us that we're supposed to hate each other, there's so much of that pain that is caused from that.
Yeah. I agree with you on that because I feel like if we're not like having those, I feel like it's all of the hate stuff, it's coming from like the government. And if we're not given those instructions to hate each other, then there's no reason to. Maybe if someone like takes my food or something, okay, like I want to eat too. But other than that, it's, a lot of stuff it's like political, and I don't vote. I shouldn't have said that out loud, but it's okay.
You're literally talking to someone who worked in government for 10 years. I don't vote.
My bad. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of division is caused by political parties for specific agendas. I don't think politics is the only thing that's driving division, but I think a lot of times like we just don't want to hear what other people have to say, and we're so consumed by our own problems. I think that was something I thought about in Korea. Like I was there during right after the Hyundai Motors controversy that happened in Atlanta. And it's not like it's hard to figure out that I'm a Kyopo. Like it's pretty easy to spot me out.
Yeah.
But nobody said anything to me about it. No one was asking me like what is going on or what do you think or was upset. And it's not like we're talking about Kyopos or Korean Americans. We're talking about Korean nationals.
Yeah.
And they didn't care. And what I took away from it was like they were so consumed with their own problems because it's so hard to live in Korea right now. So many people are in huge amounts of credit card debt.
Yeah.
It's just really difficult to go live day to day. And it's not that they're bad people. It's like when you have so many of your own problems, it's hard to have empathy for somebody else. And I think a lot of people in the world are in that position right now. It's not that they're bad people. It's just that their lives are so difficult. It's hard for them to think about anything else except for how am I going to solve my own problems?
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. Because going back to that food example, if you're starving, you might as well cut off someone's hands and eat it, right? Maybe not to that extreme right now.
But desperate people will do desperate things.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I think I also did hear about like how hard it is in Korea right now too, because my parents actually recently went to Korea like in September, and they were like, yeah, it's not that great right now.
Yeah, I was there at the same time. I was there for a lot of September.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I was there for Freeze Fashion Week and Busan Film Festival. So the people that I was hanging out with, places I was going were very like extravagant, like fancy things. And it was really weird, my experience versus like actually knowing what the experience of day-to-day Koreans are.
Yeah.
And to see, even like I go into any of the Pyeongjam and like the GS or something, and just like the look of like dejection on the Alba people, right? Like the people that are just working part-time. And I try to make small talk, and it was like clear, like it was just a lot of like sadness that I saw and like part of the drinking culture. And I see that here everywhere I travel around the country. Like I just see a lot of people without a sense of hope. And that's why I do the work that I do, is I don't want us to lose that sense of hope. I don't want us to think that the world isn't salvageable.
Yeah.
Even if all signs point to that it is. And I could have made a lot of different career choices that would have led me to making like a lot more money, but I felt like I couldn't make that decision because I know the reality of how people are living, and that I know that I'm in a position to do something about it.
Yeah, I do feel like sad towards Korea right now. Yeah. I haven't gone in such a long time, but my parents go every year.
Yeah, no, I've gone 3 times in the past 9 months. And yeah, even just walk around LA, we just see so many people just struggling, just live day to day. And in New York City, the amount of just disparate amounts of wealth that exists in New York City, it's like, how can we as a society look ourselves in the mirror knowing that some people have so much wealth and resources that they don't even know how to spend it and to spend it down, and don't even know what to do with it. And yet we allow people to lose their entire livelihood over an illness or something that's completely out of their control. Like they get into a car accident and it's not their fault.
Yeah.
And they become paralyzed. Like, how can we call ourselves a moral society when we allow such horrible things to happen, when we have all the resources to prevent it? And I think that's the part that really bothers me is it wouldn't actually take a massive shift. It would just take all of us to change our mentality just a little bit and have a little bit more empathy for others to actually be able to coexist and build a better society. But the fact that we are choosing not to, and the amount of people that I know that are just like, I'm not going to do anything about it because I just, and it's not saying that we have to all be political or activists. It's like we can all make the world better just a little bit, just the way we treat one another. Even just basic, when you walk by someone and just say hello. You know, when you interact with someone that's like a service worker and just be kind to them. When you see someone struggling, just lend a hand. It's not monumental shifts that we have to make. And I think if we just can get to that point, we'd be amazed at how much change we can see in a short period of time.
Do you have the vision for like how it may look like?
I just think we can get to a place where we just support each other in ways and create a society where we actually value one another, not based off of how much money or clout we have, but rather just because we are human. And we were all born and we are alive. And so we should be treating each other with at least some degree of respect and dignity. We don't need to be best friends, but I think we should.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can support our cause by visit our Instagram page for exclusive behind-the-scenes content at It Starts With You. And remember, it starts with you.